This is the tutorial for how to build the DIY interface for the Focus Simulator. This is all of the items that you're going to need in order to build it. The two tools you're going to need are a flathead screwdriver and a little sort of glasses or iFixit tool as well. So we're going to set those aside for now. You're going to need an Arduino Uno 3. You're going to need a potentiometer, a very specific potentiometer that you can get off of DigiKey. I'll have the link to this and everything else in the description. You're going to need 3 jumper cables. So you can get jumper cables from a few different places, or you can make your own. I actually get mine from a local hobbyist store, but I'm actually out of the colors I need. So we're going to use these colors of wire, and I'm going to let you know which each one represents at that time. You're going to need 3 1/4-20 screws. I got these from Lowe's. You can use any kind. They just need to be less than 1/2 inch is how deep the threads are going to be to take them. You're going to need 3, or depending on the head that you have, M3 screws. So I know that's a little confusing because these are going to be measured in metric versus the 1/4-20s, which are measured in imperial, but you're going to need a cable for the Arduino, and then you're going to need these 3D printed parts. And these are going to be available for download the file. This is the only part where I'm going to charge people, is downloading the file for these 3D printed parts for $5. So aside from all of the things that you will need to buy yourself, these $5 parts, this $5 file and the material, if you have a 3D printer, is all it's going to cost you. So it shouldn't cost you more than about 30 bucks to build this whole thing, 40 depending on the trade situation with the potentiometer at the time of building. So here's the deal. With the 3D printed parts, you will need to pause it at certain layer heights in order to insert some 1/4-20 hex nuts into the build for mounting points. So you'll need to pause it 1, 2, 3, and 4 times in order to insert all of these nuts. I'm not going to teach you how to do 3D printing. I'm going to presume that if you're planning on 3D printing your own parts, that you know how to do inserts like this. So one thing I would recommend as well is after you print the box and the gear, before you start building things, I recommend you take the gear and put it into the threads and give it a bit of a spin. That way the sort of tolerance can wear itself down a little bit to where it's easier to rotate, because depending on what material and what settings your printer are having, it can be hard to turn the first few times that you do it. So just giving it a little bit of time to wear in before you build is helpful. So here's how we're going to get started. We're going to get started with the potentiometer right here, and we're going to get started with our 3 jumper cables. So if you've never built or used jumper cables or any electronics before, what you're going to need are jumper cables that are male to female. So that means they have pointy ends on one side and holes on the other side. I don't need to explain what male and female means to the majority of ACs, but just for those that didn't know. So what we're going to do is we're going to make the blue wire the analog read wire. We're going to make the orange wire the 5-volt in, and we're going to make the brown wire the ground wire. So this is it. This is all you need for the circuitry plus the Arduino, but we're going to handle the Arduino part later. What you're going to do is you're going to take the female end, the part that does not have the pointy part sticking out, and you're going to, with your potentiometer facing just like this, you're going to take the ground on the right. You're going to take the 5-volt and put that on the left, and make sure they're both on there pretty good. And then you want to put your 5-volt in the middle. You can do that in any order, just so long as you can plug them in any order, but as long as they're like this. Here's what I'll say, is this is designed so once you build the interface, it rotates like the camera lens, right? So one way is moving the focal plane outwards, one way is moving it closer, and this is designed to rotate it like that. So if you were to take the box and pull focus like you were holding a camera, it should rotate correctly. Now, if you want to reverse it for any reason, you can take the ground and put it on the other side and put the 5-volt on the right. So you can switch these two wires to reverse the interface if you need to. Now, I would recommend, if you want to make everything sturdier once you build it, is to just use hot glue. I'm not going to do that in this tutorial because it's not 100% necessary, but it will make everything stay together a lot better. So you can take hot glue and drop the hot glue right over the center of all three of these metal parts right here, so that the metal bit sort of stays in contact with these pins and everything isn't quite wiggling around as much. Like I said, not necessary, but something that will make everything a lot sturdier. And then when it comes time to putting the gear on to the potentiometer, it's also very helpful if you were to hot glue the gear onto the end of the potentiometer. Just bear in mind that both of these things, if the potentiometer breaks or if there's any other problems, it makes it a lot harder to fix. So make sure that you are 100% certain that everything is okay and working before you do that. I would recommend assembling everything and giving it a good test before you do the hot gluing. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the box with the potentiometer, and it's hard to see in this video, but there's going to be, in the little hole in the middle, a little notch on one side, and that's going to be the top of the box. So this is going to be the top right here, and then you see this, there's a notch on the top of the potentiometer. We're going to take that notch and we're going to line it up with that notch. And then these two metal bits right here, we're going to bend those out. So, sorry, the depth of field on the camera isn't great, and it's got a loud focus on it, so I'm just going to move everything down to where it's in focus every time. So we're going to take it and we're going to move our potentiometer and push it in until it clicks, just like that. And then we're going to go to the front and we're just going to grab the end and sort of pull it a little bit and give it a little wiggle to make sure it's all the way in there while pushing in on the back here. So that's how you install the potentiometer into the box. Next thing you're going to do is you're going to take the flat side of the potentiometer, just like that, and you're going to face it downwards from the 2 points in which the track ends. These are the hard stops. So when the flat end is facing away from them, you can take this, stick a finger onto the back of the potentiometer to make sure you don't accidentally push it back out again. And then you can see there's a flat end here, should line up with the flat end of the potentiometer, and you just slip it on just like that. And that's all installed well. So we're going to set the box aside. We're going to bring over this little plate right here, and we're going to take this Arduino right here, and we're going to screw them on. And this is where our tools come in. So we're going to take our iFixit little screwdriver. I'm going to take our 1/4-20s, and we have 3 of them when there are 4 mounting points on the Arduino. And the reason for that is because one of the mounting points doesn't really have a lot of space for the actual head of each screw to actually fit. And that's this one right here. So this one, the big plastic parts where you plug in the wires is kind of in the way. So we're just going to skip that one, and we're just going to do the 3. The 3 is pretty sturdy enough. If you have screws that fit, then I would encourage you to use all 4, but it's not necessary. So we're just going to screw in all 3 of these, make sure it's nice and tight. Again, these are M3 screws. I believe M2 screws will work as well and everywhere in between, but I have not checked for sure. I just know for a fact that M3 works. I would not go any bigger than M3 because you can see there's even already some stress lines in there. It's just, the M3 is just a little big. So Now that you have your Arduino all plugged in, or all screwed in, we're going to take this and we're going to set the box down just like this. And you see there's these two little notches on the bottom. What we're going to do is we're going to take the Arduino and make sure that the USB port is facing to the left. And then we're going to just slide it in, just like that. Make sure you don't catch any of your wires while you do that. And then I'm actually going to move the focus just a bit up. There we go. So then we have our 3 wires, and we have the 3 places we're going to plug them in on this close end. So it's nice and easy. You don't have to plug them in before you slide the wire in. So first thing we're going to do is we're going to take the blue one, which is our analog, and we're going to plug that into A0. Important that it's A0, unless you want to make some adjustments to the Arduino code when we move on to the computer aspect. We're going to take our ground. We'll put that into one of the 2 ground pins. So G and D, I'm sure everybody knows. And then the 5V, of course, is going to be our 5 volt. So then we're going to tuck all of that in. We're just going to shove it in. It would be nice to have shorter wires. If you are making your own, you can probably make them significantly shorter. Or if you find a place you can order them. It is also important to make sure that these pins are actually kind of flat. So there's actually a very specific way that you're supposed to plug them in. You can flip them around, but it would be easier if the little metal notches on the thing point outwards. That might make it easier for you. I do not recommend hot gluing these wires into the Arduino. That's going to be a whole other mess. The potentiometer and the gear, you can absolutely hot glue if you like. This I would not recommend it, especially because Arduinos are meant to be reusable, so you can reuse them on other projects and whatnot if you ever need. Or if ever come out with a new design, you can still use the Arduino, which is going to be the most expensive part of the whole project. So that's it. We take the back and we're going to plug in our quarter 20s. Now, I got these quarter 20s and the hex nuts from Lowe's. The quarter 20s came in a box with hex nuts, but I actually bought hex nuts separately because there was a separate set of hex nuts that was just a little thicker. And those were the ones that I liked because they were just a little more sturdy. So you can just go with, if you're 3D printing your own, you can go with the hex nut quarter 20 combo. Just be aware that the hex nuts are going to rattle around just a little bit more inside of the 3D print. And they already rattle around enough as it is, the ones that I have. But this isn't meant to be going outside at any sets, so it doesn't really matter that much. But USB should line up there if you installed everything correctly there. And you got your box. So there we go. And then we're gonna, of course, plug it in here. And then the other side of your cable goes into the computer. And then you're all set. So we're gonna switch to the computer side where I'm gonna show you how to program your box and get it up and running with the simulator game. So we're on our PC, and the first thing we're gonna do after we plug in our box is we're gonna go into the Patreon, and the link is down below for anybody curious, and that's very important for a few reasons. So there's 3 things to download. The bottom one is the 3D print files. So if you have your own 3D printer and you want to build one, it's $5. And that's, I put a lot of time and energy and money into this project, and most of that has been trying to get this box to at least work kind of well. So while the software is free and everything else is free, the 3D print files are not. They're $5, and they could be free later on when I'm doing okay and I don't need any extra money, but I would like to at least try and make back the amount spent on the project. The other 2 things are the Arduino code and the interface software. So very important, make sure, I'm gonna just reload this page. Make sure that your URL, because this is gonna be the link that I give you, matches this or what it was just a minute ago. Make sure that you've clicked my link. And the reason for that is because this is just an exe file. And exe files, if you don't know, are very dangerous. It's very easy to do hacks and malware and any kind of thing if you just go downloading exe files and running them on your computer willy-nilly. So you want to make sure that they're from a trusted source. So make sure that you download it from me. Make sure that if I ever post this somewhere else, which right now I have not posted this anywhere else, but if I ever do, make sure that you verify that it is me and not somebody trying to be nefarious. The Arduino code, not so much because it's a .ino, but this is very important, and it's actually going to send you a warning at some point when we download both of these things. So we're going to download this. All you got to do is click on it and click on this. Obviously, I already have them downloaded, so I'm not going to do that. And then this here. The other thing we need is we're going to need the Arduino IDE software. So what you're going to do is you'll go to this website, and you'll click on the Windows button that says Windows 10 and newer, and then you can download to the Arduino IDE if you want, but we're just going to click just download and then just download again, and it'll download it for us. I actually already have it downloaded, so we don't need it. But those are the two things that you need to download, and I'll have those links in the description as well. So once you download the things from the Patreon, you'll have your Arduino code, or Arduino Uno code right here, and the Focus Interface exe. So we're going to start with the Arduino code. We're going to double click it, and it's going to spit out an error. It's going to say this file, Arduino code, needs to be inside of a sketch folder named Arduino code. Create this folder and move the file to continue. Okay. So and what that'll do is it'll literally just put it into a folder for you in the same file path. So once it's uploaded and you've plugged in your Arduino, you'll do this down arrow button. Now I use a lot of Arduinos, so the COM port is wildly different between all of them. But right now, the current one is COM port 5. So when you do the down, don't do the unknown, do the Arduino Uno COM 5. So you'll click that, and then you can actually double check the serial monitor. See, right now mine is already working. But what you'll do is you'll literally just click this arrow up in the left, click upload. It'll say compiling sketch, uploading, and then once you see the serial monitor, and the serial monitor is just this little magnifying glass right here. So, and then that will tell you all of the data that your box is giving to the computer. So this is the code right here. That's it. Once this is working great, make sure to close it. Nothing will work when the serial monitor port on this IDE is open. It will all not work if this serial monitor is open on the IDE. So once it's all coded, you can actually close out of that total. Of course, make sure that you've installed the IDE. I kind of skipped over that part, but once you download it, install this, and then, proceed. So we're going to take that, and you shouldn't need this again unless I update the necessary code. But that's pretty much it. This interface needs to be running every time you play the game. And then I'm actually going to see, it'll connect to COM5. It'll look for specifically your box. If it's not connecting, give the box a little spin for a minute, just so that it sends a little more information for the scanning ports. And then I'm going to open up my Steam page here, or my Steam, there we go. And we'll go to the Focus Simulator, and we'll hit play. And then, oh, there we go. OBS didn't want to see the see the program, I guess. It'll actually start you. Oh, this is an older version, but it doesn't really matter. We'll go into a game. We'll just give it a quick test. We'll turn this off, and then if your interface isn't working, make sure that in input right here in your camera settings, you have it set to controller. We'll hit resume, and there we go. We're at a too high of a focal length right now to really focus in on stuff. But there we go. And your simulator is all set. So you can rig your own motor, or you can just spin the wheel, up to you. But there you go. If you don't build an interface, you haven't gotten this far in the video, but you can always play with a mouse. as well. So there we go. That's the tutorial. It's pretty simple once you actually sit down and get it all figured out. You just need the gear to do it. So links to everything will be down in the description. If you do not want to 3D print your own box, I will be selling them on Etsy as fast as I can get them 3D printed. They are kind of expensive because they do take a long time to print and make by hand, and I have a pretty small 3D printer. So they are a bit pricey if you buy them from me. But like I said, you're always welcome to 3D print them yourself, and then you'll only have to spend $5 and material costs. So there you go. I hope that you have all the success you need. If you have any issues, the Discord link is down in the description as well. Joining that Discord and pinging me, my Discord name is Terador. If you at me inside that Discord and say, hey, I'm having troubles, or opening a ticket, I will help you as soon as I can. So if I'm at work, if I'm working, it's going to be a bit more of a struggle. But if I'm available and free, I will absolutely take the time to lend you a hand. So yeah, I hope you guys have fun playing your simulator and you get better at your focus pulling, or at the very least, have fun gaining a better appreciation for what focus pulling actually is.